We're on.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. I'm Phil,
I'm Derek.
and it is time for anything. Today on the show, we are just doing another Anything Goes, where we just sit and talk and look at each other and enjoy each other's presence.
You know, I often mention Sarah, and she also told me that her favorite version of our podcast is Anything Goes.
When we just do anything, right? Just
Yeah.
shoot.
Also because we don't try and state facts so much, and she'll check us.
Oh, yeah, I believe
Yeah,
it.
she's called me out on it a couple times.
Which,
so
I mean, we do put our resources on the website. However,
it's misleading.
it's like we could just be wrong. Like, we could accidentally find a non-credible source, and here we are. So it's a predicament, but...
Yeah, I don't know how deep I'm willing to go to find a super credible source. I mean, I try not to just...
Yeah.
And I also try to, fact check the fact.
Right.
Every time.
I try to at least get multiple sources coming at different angles before I say, here's the information, but you know how it goes.
So, yeah, this is an Anything Goes. How was your day, Phil?
Good. Very excited because we're trying our new mic setup for the first time, which is pretty interesting. Some
really surprised me with the mics.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to expect.
I think it's going to be much better having individual mics for each person, especially because now we can sit wherever we want and I can actually look at you instead of sitting at a table in which we're all just facing the wall, and it feels kind of not weird, but it's just facing, you can't look at each other while you talk.
Right.
And if you do, you're breaking your neck the whole time.
That's true. I guess to describe the microphones to the listeners, because you can't see sound.
This is hilarious. I'm just laughing to myself.
Unless maybe you can see sound. Sarah, I'm going to need a fact check on that.
Oh, there are some people who can, I forget the disorder, but yeah, it's a thing. Sound becomes shapes and colors.
Interesting.
And you can physically see them. It's very odd. But anyway.
So, yeah, we basically got one of those little...
lapel mics.
Lapel mics, that's what they're called. That makes sense. Deep inhale. And they're attached to straws.
They are attached to straws with the cord going through the straw. They're bamboo straws. So it kind of feels cool. It's like you're holding a little mic.
No, they don't they're not squishy. They're not like regular straws.
Right, they're rigid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got some rigidness to them.
Some rigidity, if that's even a word.
That was actually the first word I wanted to say, but it sounded so stupid in my head.
I don't know. I gotta we can fact check ourselves on that, but
sometimes I just really, really, really butcher words, mess up grammar. It's
yeah, but who doesn't? Who doesn't?
I know. I just feel like I do it a little more than the average bear.
I mean, maybe, but that doesn't mean you're dumb.
Oh my God. At work the other day, I was for a minute straight just could not say a word without stuttering. And I finally just looked at my boss. I was like, I don't know what the fuck's wrong with me. I'm just going to take a mulligan and we're going to pretend this never happened.
Try again. Redo.
Yep. So that's how it goes.
Restart.
Well, man, I'm glad you're having a good day.
Dude, I don't know if it's where I work now or what it is, but Friday, Monday, and today have I've been driving home and been happy. I'm blasting music in a good way. I just feel so good, and I'm wow, I'm really glad that I did that today, and I'm very happy to come home, and not in a bad way in the sense it's oh, thank God I'm out of there. You know, I mean, kind of,
right.
In a way, because who wants to work 8 to 5? That sucks.
Even at jobs you like, you would much rather, I feel, at least, unless you're in a great job, for you.
You'd just rather be at home.
Yeah, you'd just rather be at home.
Yeah. Yeah, most people.
It's I don't mind my job, but I would just much rather be at home.
Yes, yeah, I totally understand.
You know?
And I don't know. Maybe it's just because of the conversations I've been having at work, and the way I've been treating people at work, and the way that I see people enjoying the way they're being treated. So this woman Heather works in HR, and the I can get to someone else in a second, but Heather from HR is fantastic. She, you know Kitty from That 70s Show?
Yes.
Like, she kind of reminds me of her in a way.
Like really bubbly?
Yes, like almost the same voice, kind of that like anxious attitude where like she seems like stressed, but also like she's happy and like enjoying things. And
right.
She's really uppity. But just like helping her with stuff that it has on her plate right now, because since I'm new, there's not a million things I can do. So I'm like, can you give me something to teach me and something I can do? So I've just been like getting patient reports and then documenting like patient counts and yada yada. But like I can see weight just dropping off of her every time I talk to her and like help her with something and just be nice to her and stuff. And Tammy, who's my coworker, who's like training me on everything, she's hilarious. She's very similar to my sister in the sense where like she can be weird and we make weird voices together. And like I've only known her for like a week and we can like laugh with each other and just be strange. And I feel like even in the whole office, I feel like I work with real people, and I don't even know how to explain that because it just sounds odd.
I think you're in a good office environment. It just sounds that way. I mean, to be goofy at work is a luxury, I would say. Just because I think there still is this like sort of expectation that you're being professional. But I think
I get what you mean.
You can find a balance of both.
Yes.
And I've pushed it at work a couple times to where like I can tell like it was sort of agitating my boss, but I think I don't even want to really get into that.
No, that's totally okay.
Like anyone
understand.
can listen to these things, and I don't want to like start any drama because for some reason, I'll just say this: my workplace is really dramatic sometimes for no reason.
Yeah.
And if someone hears that I work with, and you want to bring it up, go ahead. But
you don't want to start like firing shots and everything because
yeah,
like,
I don't want to fire shots or call people out. But
because number one, that's kind of shitty, and number two, it's like, and like you said, anyone can listen to what we're saying.
The goofiness at my work really takes an aggressive sort of tone, and it can be very vulgar. So it's not like lighthearted goofy.
Oh,
it's like
almost you feel like there's like an underlying
like rolling in the mud
hatred in there somewhere.
It's like rolling in the well, it can be hateful, but it's kind of like rolling in the mud. I typically
what do you mean by that?
Like you're just kind of getting dirty, but like you're supposed to be having fun. Like it's supposed to be goofy, but you're making a mess.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't know, just some things have been said in the past where I'm like, wow, if this were a bigger company, like just wouldn't even work here, sort of thing. Like, yeah,
those
like, that
people
just
wouldn't work
be tolerated
there anymore.
Yeah,
or
100%.
like they'd be reprimanded by HR or something like that.
This is really inappropriate stuff sometimes.
Yeah, I understand.
That
like, sucks.
And again, like if anyone's listening, I doubt it. I highly doubt it because they would probably think a podcast is stupid.
But then they're not your people, and that's
but
okay.
But if you are, I mean, it's true.
So there you go. Got him.
That's my call out. You know what? I'm just going to have a little therapy session right now and just get that out of me. So it's over.
There you go.
It's done.
That's what this is about, right? It's us talking about.
It's time for anything.
It's time for anything, right?
It's anything goes.
It's anything goes. It's anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything we want. So I think like your work life is very interesting because the minute you work full time, it quite literally becomes a majority of your life.
I think I did the math at one point and I realized that if you factor in how many hours out, well, okay, now like this depends on if you like drive 2 hours to work. But
what if you sleep?
Let's just say you don't drive 2 hours to work, right? And you get home a half an hour. So let's say you get out at 5 and you're home in the door by 5:30.
Right.
And you get 8 hours of sleep. Like if you count weekends, you have more time outside of work than you do in work. But it doesn't feel that way because you have more days of the week at work than you don't.
And you're also asleep for half the day.
Yeah. So
if you spend a majority of your waking hours at work, then you probably spend a majority of your conscious life
at
working.
Work. That's how it feels. Yeah.
Which is a bummer, but I mean that's just kind of the way the world goes, and it's not necessarily a bad thing.
At
because
least in America. I mean, but kind of everywhere.
pretty much everywhere you
Yeah.
have to work
Yeah.
to obtain currency in most cases.
Yeah.
Even if not, like somehow you're going to have to. You have to give to receive.
Right.
So, that's just kind of life. I used to drag my feet about it a lot, but then I kind of think to myself, I'm like, I have a roof over my head. I think of like feudal, like the Dark Ages, like feudalism. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like you've got running water. You can take a shower, generally speaking, whenever you want. You have clean clothing all the time. You can wash those clothing by sticking them in a metal box that uses a computer to automatically wash your shit. Like, that's
Weighs
insane.
it, decides how long it's going to spin
Yes,
for, decides
exactly.
how hard it's going to spin.
It's absolutely insane.
It's very, like, I think we live in luxury even if we're not
Yes.
living, quote, in luxury.
Yes. Like, Derek, you need food? Guess what? You can just drive to a building where they say, give me some numbers, I'll give you food. And you go, okay, thanks. Like, that's
pretty
insane.
cool.
That was
Yeah.
not a thing 300 years ago. I mean, you had small shops, I'm sure, but it wasn't like you could go to this place and get almost anything you want, especially now with Amazon. You can just, it's just, I that's what I did with these mics, dude. I ordered these yesterday, and they just came. I was like, okay, wow, that's insane.
Even like 70 years ago. Like, if you were born in 1950, you are 71 or 70 turning 71.
Yeah. Yeah.
So just thinking about life in 1950 versus now is starkly different.
Dude, that hit me today when I was going through patient information, because I had to look up a patient and find out like whether or not they had, like, they paid a bill that day to find out if they actually came in for an appointment. Whatever, not actually important. Anyway, so I got to check like name and date of birth to verify, because you need two forms of verification to make sure it's the right patient. And I'm looking at some of these dates of birth, and I'm like, okay, 1940. I'm like, okay, let's think about that for a second. So that person's like 81 years old, give or take, 80, 81. Okay. But they grew up. They started to become a waking being through 1950. And 1960 was them being a preteen and then a teenager and then eventually being 20 years old. And it's really weird to think that if you were born in 1940, your entire reality is so much different than ours.
The numbers sometimes kind of blow my mind because, like, for example, like kind of relating it back to work, my warehouse manager, I think he's in his 50s, and he was telling me that, so like he moved from Pittsburgh to Florida when he was in his teens, and he spent a majority of his life in Florida, but he's been back in Reading for 20 years, most of my life.
Wow, okay. Yeah.
So like,
But he was raised in Florida.
yeah, he was like I spent the best years of my life in Florida, and now I'm just here. And he's been here for pretty much my life.
That kind
like
of
my
depresses me, because while our state doesn't suck, I just think like, yeah, moving from somewhere and then feeling like you're stuck somewhere.
He was doing crazy shit in Florida though.
Well,
like,
yeah, I mean, okay, that's
not
fair.
always. He wasn't always in the best scenarios, and like he wasn't always hanging out with the best people.
Yeah.
So
okay. One of those hoodlums.
yeah. He glorifies it. It wasn't. I don't know.
Well, it's because it was the best years of his life. His life is so mundane and depressing and sorrowful, based on my perception of how you've explained him over the past couple months, that he probably goes home and is like, wow, if only I were 25 again living in Florida, everything would be amazing.
Well, yeah, but you get what you give, and at the same time, like,
Yes.
he made all those decisions leading up to now,
Yep.
he owes it to nobody but himself for his predicament.
Yes.
And I we're cool. Like, we talk all the time. I give him a ride home. He's an interesting guy. At the end of the day, it's his life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, as much as I think sometimes the things that he was doing wasn't great for him, if he thinks that was the best time of his life, then who am I to like tell him it wasn't?
Yeah. I mean, because as far as he's concerned, it is. So it's like, okay. Which, actually, this is kind of off topic, but it makes me think of this, is James said something funny one time. He was like eating pizza or whatever. He's like, this is the best pizza I've ever had in my life. And I was like, well, is it really the best pizza you've ever had in your whole life? And he's like, well, as far as I can remember as of right now, yes. So therefore it is the best pizza I've ever had in my whole life. So whether or not being in Florida actually was the best moments of his life, he thinks it was and keeps living that mindset. So it's potential that he will never feel like, oh, this is better than Florida, because he's constantly just stuck in this thought loop of Florida was the best, nothing will ever top it. And that makes me very sad.
It is kind of sad, but at the same time, there is going to be a moment within your lifetime that will be the best moments of your life.
Yeah, I mean, I could agree with that. Yeah.
So, like, right now for me, it's like I would definitely just go with college. I think that's a common pick for a lot of people, is just, like, college, best years of my life. I was an adult, considered an adult, but still had the sort of freedom of, like, okay, I'm a student, so I can't, not that you can't, but I didn't really work full time.
Okay.
I worked like 32 hours a week.
Yeah.
So, I had more time. I was able to like live with my friends and do what I want and be in my own house, and that was cool.
And have your own space and
right.
Yada yada. Like, I know living, like, geez, man, like living with my mom was just, it's like the relationship with her just went up after I moved out. And I think it was just because you didn't have those stupid little petty, like, no, did you do the dishes? Did you do this? Did you help me with this? It's like, it's now just all about, like, supporting one another and just spending time with one another,
Right.
So, like, when you're at college, you're kind of away from that pressure of, are your parents constantly monitoring you? Like, I mean, you shouldn't necessarily be doing anything that your parents are going to hate you for, but you know how some parents are. But I guess my point is just I can totally understand how college would be the best times of some people's lives, because that's when they felt the most free. Because a lot of people get married in their early 20s and then they settle down and then they get a dog and then they have a kid and then they're working full time.
Yep.
And they feel so stuck and like they can't go anywhere or live and do anything, but it's also like you did it to yourself.
I can just honestly say, man, like, having a kid right now in this moment in time is not a possibility in my life, purely financial.
Well, I mean, that, yeah. And I mean, I look at people like my friends Albie and Nate, and I'm like, okay, you know what? To be frank, like, out of any of my friends, if they could be the ones who had kids, like, they're the ones who are going to do it the best, if that makes any sense.
I don't think there's anything wrong with having a kid when you're younger, but you just have to, like,
you have to
my
be
friend
ready for
Athena
it,
is the same way. I hope you listen if you do. We've been friends forever.
Yeah.
And she had her first kid. Well, she only has one kid. So she had Sai when she was 19.
Yeah, that's rough.
And yeah, it was hard for her at the time. It still is hard because, like, she has to balance working and doing, mom duty, but she ended up getting her degree and, like, works as a nurse, and she's pretty damn successful.
Oh, good. Yeah.
And
yeah, good.
just, like, with or without a kid is successful. And I'm like,
I think maybe also having that kid has pushed her. She's like, well, if I'm not going to do it for myself, I got to do it for my kid, right? Like, and that's not necessarily the best mindset to have, but it definitely is good in a way where it's like, oh, I know I should, at least you're acknowledging I should be working hard to support my child.
She didn't have, it wasn't intentional, but, like, I could see people being like, oh, like, if I have a kid, I'll get serious about life and I'll get my stuff together.
Yeah.
And maybe do. I hope you do.
It's like, but let's start now. Like, why not now?
Now you're responsible for another human being.
Like, why wait until you have that kid, Like, step up. I don't know.
I think I don't know what the future holds, but
and I guess I'm not, like, speaking directly towards you, obviously. I just mean, like, people, like,
right.
Don't wait to have a kid to be like, oh no, I gotta get my shit together. It's like, get your shit together,
Yeah, you should be ready to have a kid before that kid's even conceived.
Yeah. In an ideal world, yes.
In an ideal world,
yeah.
I mean, but then again, like, I think everyone has a choice in their life, and even though it may affect me, I don't know. We're just kind of running the simulation, man. If it fails, who cares? Nobody. Universe don't care.
Define if it fails. Like, what do you?
Like, humanity fails.
Oh, well, yeah, that doesn't matter at all. I mean, as far as my belief system goes, like, we're just a speck in this entire system of dust and
And who
more
knows
beyond.
what else has happened across the entire universe. Like, I'm sure there have been other civilizations in the universe that have failed as well, or are still prospering today, or whatever.
Like the plot of Mass Effect. It's like, oh, the machine race shows up every 50,000 years and wipes out any races that have gotten to a certain level of technological advancement. And this has happened for millions of years. And
Right.
this is why we don't contact, like, at least in this in the Mass Effect universe, it's like this is why contacting a species is kind of rare, because once they rise up, they just get killed off. Because these machines have always been and will always
The
be,
machines,
and
man.
they say no.
The machine, man.
So it makes you wonder, like, how many, like, the universe, as far as we're concerned, presently is like 14 billion years old. And our estimates could be wrong, I don't know. But 14 I can't even wrap my head around
14
that
billion's
number.
a long time.
So, like, what if, like, 7 billion years ago, there was a species that was just
Who
as
knows?
advanced as we were, and they accidentally blew themselves up?
Who knows?
And you're
So,
like, okay.
I don't think I would like humanity to survive and prosper, and I would like life to more than just my own.
More than humanity, just
species.
life in general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I'd like to see life live on, and I think it will, regardless of if humans are or are not a part of that picture. So
If anything, life might do better without us around. At least the way humans are acting right now. Like, we're not a very good species to all the other species.
well, our common ancestor, one of our ancestors is like a small marsupial, kind of like a rodent, like a vole.
I believe so, yes.
Okay, so we have voles right now. We have rodents, rats, mice. Who knows what that evolves into? Who knows what dolphins evolve into? Like, there could definitely just be another humanoid or another, like, sentient, intelligent, and capable life form that inhabits Earth after us.
Oh, dude, one thing I always think about when I see, just sci-fi stuff, with, here's an alien. Back to Mass Effect, because it's just been on my mind. 'Cause this is what I've been playing recently.
Sure.
Almost every single species I encounter in this game, I'm like, why do you have 2 arms and 2 legs? Like, yeah, okay, maybe, like, you got 3 fingers, you've got, like, 4, you've got, like, 2, like, whatever, I don't know. But, and, like, their legs look a little different, but I'm thinking, like, when I see an alien, I expect it to look like something that I can't wrap my head around. Like, what is it made of? How is it moving? Like, what are those things coming off of it? What is that light, like, or whatever it is? Just, I expect the first time we look at an alien, which, let's just say it's already happened, because that's a whole conspiracy, but let's not even go down that rabbit hole right now. But I don't know. I would just think, like, it's either going to be a machine or it's going to be something so astronomically bizarre looking that you'll just be like, I don't even know what I'm seeing.
It could be mechanical. I kind of feel that way. It probably started happening like 3-4 years ago. I started, like, really being fascinated with just, like, life on Earth in general, and I kind of, in a lot of ways, find their functions and their survival to be almost alien. Like,
Yes, definitely.
I talked about it on the podcast before, my octopus teacher, just, like, watching that documentary.
Yeah, I still haven't seen it, but I've heard from so many people that it's insane, the, like, mental capacity of this octopus.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. And, like, who's to say that the octopi eventually just start kind of making their way on land, and they slowly but surely just start kind of walking on Earth, or figure out how to make technology in marine environments. But, like, I'm talking, like, not even the octopus that we know of, but, like, its future successor,
yes,
evolutionarily speaking.
Like, as in, we leave Earth and we abandon it, and then, like, a million years from now, we're like, oh, the octopi have taken over. They're the sea people. It's like, okay.
The trash people
It makes
emerge from our rubble.
Yeah, there you go. It makes me think of that episode of Rick and Morty when they travel, what is it, like a 2 million, or is it like a million years into the future? And they see humans, and they look like what humans evolved into, and they're like 3 foot tall, like blue and green and red, like elf looking things.
Right.
And you're like, what? Like that's,
I don't know if that was Rick and Morty, but
I believe it was Rick and Morty. I'm like
Okay.
99% sure, but then again, memory is faulty, so I could just be wrong.
I kind of forget. But
Yeah.
that's kind of what I'm imagining.
Yes,
right
exactly. It's just life changes, and so now I'm gonna get this number wrong. So sorry. I want to say it's like 7, but I also want to say it's
now.
like
Extinction
15.
events.
No.
I was gonna say
7 or 15, so that number is totally off.
wow.
Times that Venom has evolved individually, as in there has not been an ancestor that like it evolved from. So again, let's just say it's 7. So like 7 different species on the planet that do not share a common ancestor far enough down the line for Venom to be a result of them being common in like lineage. Like it evolved separately. So then I'm thinking it's not that ridiculous to think that on other planets life could evolve in a similar way.
Yeah.
You know? So
I think
because that could just mean that Venom could be on another planet, depending on what kind of chemical makeup things are made of.
well, it's interesting. I like the asteroid theory for the theory of like how life started on Earth.
Transpermia.
Yeah. So like
Yeah.
basically an asteroid with all the amino acids necessary, which we've already determined does exist in our universe, struck the Earth, and it was the Earth's climate, the Earth's temperature, and the impact created enough
Like heat.
catalytic energy,
Catalytic energy.
catalytic energy
Yeah.
to essentially start the process for life to form.
Yeah. See, that's just absolutely insane. Like not in a bad way. I'm like that's totally viable in my mind. That's nuts.
Well, I mean, it's just like anything else. I mean, it's just chemical reactions. It is not helium. What is it? Yeah, helium's the first one, right?
The first what?
Element, number 1.
Dude, I really wish I knew my elements more. I just don't.
It's disgusting that I don't.
This is
but
why we should have Mike Sears
It's
back.
carbon. It's helium. Oh my god. Nitrogen. And just a cocktail. It's just
Yeah.
a cocktail of elements, and that's pretty much all everything is. So, anything can happen. Really, it just has to obey the confines of our physical reality.
Our rule sets that are within this physical. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, like this can go with this element can go with this element, create this thing, and
Yep.
then that thing can go with this, yada, yada, yada.
And this
so
is
on and
how
so
gravity works, and this is how fast light travels, and this is how dark matter works, and this is how physics work, and yada yada.
I remember when the Higgs boson particle collider was like a fresh discovery in physics. Because I was in Colorado. It was 2012. How do I know this? The London Olympics.
Okay.
Summer 2012. Right? Yeah. And I'm watching the Olympics, and my uncle, who is he's an aerospace engineer, had some magazines, some science magazines just on the table, and so this Higgs boson one I'm picking up, and they're like, we're colliding particles to basically uncover what the Big Bang was. We're like creating
essentially trying to create a mini Big Bang. Yeah.
They were creating a split-second black hole, essentially, and then it just dissipates.
Which is insane.
Yeah.
That's just wow.
And you see the technology behind it, like you see the actual particle collider itself. It is massive.
Isn't it just
it's
like a
stories
big,
high,
like a big building that just like
It's a circle.
just circles? Yeah.
Yep.
So they just like travel super
Yeah, and they
fast
shoot
and then
two
mash into
particles
each other.
in opposite directions, and
Yeah.
then they collide.
That's I guess the Hadron Particle Collider because it collides.
Oh, is that what that is? What's
think
the
so.
Higgs boson then?
Maybe maybe I have it wrong, or maybe there are 2.
There could be 2.
I don't know. I truly don't know.
I thought it was the Higgs boson.
I mean, I'd be legitimately surprised if like other people weren't doing the same thing.
I like that
I
we have
doubt
a
there's
relative idea. And then there's antimatter.
It's like who knows what's going on with that? I mean, someone probably does out there, but
Well, I
like,
think it's
not
called-
us.
I think it's called dark matter.
Dark matter, yeah.
Yeah, it's just basically like the calculation. There should be a set amount of matter based on like the calculation of gravity and all that stuff, but there isn't like that amount of physical matter that we can observe. So there's just this hanging balance of numbers that we can't account for.
And this is what gets me really frustrated about people in modern science discounting things just because it doesn't line up with their current
You mean like the non-physical
understanding. Well, I mean, I guess we could use that as an example, but I could just mean anything. Like, well, it looks like this could be possible, and someone's like, well, no, look at our current understanding of physics. This doesn't make sense. And I'm like, yeah, right, you just said it. Look at our current understanding of physics. It's our current understanding of physics. We don't have any idea the actual process in which all of this stuff is working together and all these physical rule sets are like being cohesive. It's just we think we understand it, just as we used to think we understood that the Earth or the sun revolves around the Earth, like geocentric, and then we were like, no, that's not how it works. We revolve around the sun. And so I could easily see in 50 or 100 years or 5 years or next year or something, there's this huge breakthrough and we're like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like we were wrong in so many ways.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of think about that brief period in time where I left the Catholic Church and started going to your church. And we went to Mass the one day and there was a scientist there. And he was like, he basically used to be an atheist, and through his scientific studies, like he realized that there's so many unlikely, like cosmically unlikely events that occurred for our existence, for the existence of the universe, yada yada, that basically convinced him like it doesn't make sense that this is random. And I think that's his opinion. I don't necessarily agree with him, but I could see how he got to that conclusion.
Yes, I definitely agree. I could see how he got to that conclusion. But then my next question is, okay, so you believe that there is a creator. So you are a theist. Why are you a Christian? I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with being a Christian. It's just like I'm wondering if maybe he was raised with Christianity, fell into atheism around his college years, and then through his studies came to the determination that, okay, there is God, and then he fell back into his Christianity because of this. I don't know.
I think it's just kind of that age-old like East versus West ideology.
So. I think there's so many other deist beliefs out there. I just don't understand.
Yeah, but I think it really comes down to availability in the Western Hemisphere.
Probably.
And exposure.
Yeah.
Because, like, I could compare it to, like, cell phones. Like, what's that one Chinese cell phone company? Huawei?
Huawei, I think.
Yeah, you know which
Something
one I'm
like
talking
that.
about.
Yeah, I used to have a Nexus 6P that was designed by Huawei.
Right.
Huawei, I don't know.
Yeah, so that phone you can get, or, like, let's just say it's, like, the actual Huawei, like, brand phone. You can get it, but they're limited retail options in the U.S. versus getting like, well, it's not really a good example because most of our phone manufacturing occurs in the Eastern Hemisphere anyway, but you kind of understand the sentiment.
Right, is like you have limited access to certain resources, but like with the age of the internet, I don't know. Like personally, I just have a really hard time locking down into one belief. Like I look at all the stuff that's out there as far as my evidence to like a creator and non-physical things and spirituality and all this stuff. But like I'm never going to assign a label to it and be like, yep, this is what it is. It's all just packaged right here for you. I'm like, no, dude, there's so much stuff beyond my understanding of like how people are able to have crazy experiences with like meditation, and those things also then line up with like ayahuasca trips, and then like tons of different cultures that have just been talking about like spiritual zones since forever. It's like but I'm not going to call it a thing. You know, I'll just say like, hey, here's all this evidence that I'm pulling together and it just makes sense to me personally. That's it. People be like, "Oh, what's your religion? What do you believe?" I'm like, "I don't know. I'm spiritual. That's it. That's what I'll give you."
Yeah, I would probably give people that too.
Yeah.
Probably just be like,
I'm a
I do
spiritual
believe in
person.
something, but I have no clue what that is, and I find a lot of organized thoughts into what that is to be sort of phooey, to put it lightly.
Like religion specifically?
Organized religion,
Okay, yeah.
I would say,
Yeah.
because like,
Okay, I can understand that.
I don't know, I do still sort of believe in signs. So you were at my surprise party last Sunday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we mentioned this. We were on the
Yeah.
porch.
It just so happened. So, long story short is I graduated finally, and my mom decided to throw a surprise party for me because like I was really against like kind of celebrating it. I finished late, so like I didn't feel too great about it. And she did the right thing, which was say, no, screw that. Like, you need to celebrate your accomplishments in life. There was a big old surprise party. I was shocked. I can't believe I didn't find out, but I didn't. So we're just sitting there, and I'm like, I think I said to you and a couple other people, I was like, this is like my favorite kind of weather. Like the perfect conditions. Overcast, 70s, no humidity. Amazing. Love
A
it.
little bit of wind.
Little bit of wind.
Yeah.
You can wear shorts. Maybe you want to
Mhm.
wear a hoodie. You'd be
Mhm.
comfortable in that. Or you could wear a t-shirt.
Mm-hmm.
That's my favorite weather.
Mhm.
Why is it coincidentally on a day that is for me to be celebrated on? I don't know.
And it's funny because I think a lot of people who are not religious or not even spiritual will listen to this and be like, dude, it's a coincidence. Like, that's just how that works. Like, it literally could have rained. It could have been sunny. It could have been anything. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to disagree. But it's nice that when it's your day about you to celebrate something, the weather goes your way. And it almost makes you think for a second in the back of your mind, like, today was a little gift, Like, I got to be with the people I love, and I was given the weather I want. And even if it has no grander meaning, it does in my heart. So,
Exactly.
sorry.
It matters to me. It's significant to me. And I've mentioned it before. I think belief is a very powerful thing. From the placebo effect to, like, the creation of everything. Like, when you believe in something, it really drastically affects your entire existence, your perception.
And here it brings me back to, like, I've started to want to say this thing where people are like, how are you? How you doing today? I'm like, happy. Like, number one, drill it into my head, because every time I say it, then, like, think about if every time you were asked how you doing today, you gave yourself like, it's all right. Like, it's going, it's subpar, it's going, it could be better. But then you just keep telling yourself that, and then that becomes your belief. So now you're placeboing yourself into living that life of, it's just okay.
Right.
But when people are like, hey, you're like, I'm happy. You're like, it's good. Things are good. It's a good day. Why not?
It's kind of like when people literally think themselves sick. Like, they're convinced that they're ill with whatever, and
Yeah.
even though objective tests come back negative, they still like suffer from this illness, and they may even show symptoms like physically. And it's just, I don't want to say it's all in their head, because I think belief is powerful, and I think if they believe it, then that's definitely a problem. Like,
Yeah.
it's going to affect their body. But it's like, how do you talk them off the ledge?
Cool. Yeah, some people just get so far gone. And there definitely are people out there that have mental illnesses because of whatever you want to chalk it up to, like genetics or just, I don't know, like something really traumatic that happened in their life that has just messed them up. And that's fine. Some people are just legitimately messed up. But there definitely are some people out there with mental disorders that have them only because they've let themselves get that far. Like, instead of stopping it when they could have and been like, no, I'm going to decide to be happy. I'm going to do more things to benefit my physical and my mental health and be more productive and progressive and whatever it is. I'm sure that would boost their happiness level to a degree. And I know that doesn't work for all people. I just have to say that so that people don't like attack me like, oh my God, you think you can just cure depression by just deciding to be happy? I'm like,
No,
No,
not at all.
but some people are just really sad because of their tendencies and mindsets, and they could be happier if they just shifted that mindset.
I think
Some people.
bettering your life is so much more than just mental. I mean, it really is just like it's full circle. And it's completely circumstantial. I would never. Well, I guess in the past I thought that the mind was a super powerful thing to the point where you could actually like sort of reverse effects, but I don't know.
I mean, I kind of think you can, but like to a degree, right? To a degree. Like if you've got someone that's been dealing with multiple personality disorder for the past like 10 years, it's like how do you just you can't reverse that.
Yeah.
You can't do that. It's not going to happen. It's very sad.
My perception really changed when I like first started kind of dating my ex-girlfriend. At first and throughout most of the relationship, I was kind of under that belief where like, no, like we can make these changes. You're already on psychotropic medication. You're going to a therapist. Like all we really have to do is just put the dominoes in order, knock them over, and
everything falls into place.
And it didn't. And things ended, and I was like, okay, this is something that she is going to battle for the rest of her life. I felt tremendous amount of regret for thinking that like what I was saying would actually work, but I really don't know. And this is kind of why I'm like not glad that things are over, but it was definitely for the best. You know what I mean? Like kind of glad.
No, I totally get what you mean.
Like a little bit, because I'm like, man, you got to figure it out.
Yeah, like that's not.
And there's no way I could ever be like a part of this.
Right, because it. Okay, I'm very, very grateful for Mo, Kathleen, Carolyn, just these conversations I've had with them about how you just like you can't change someone and you can't change for someone. Like I think you kind of can change people a little bit, but it's also like they let themselves be changed in a way, you know what I mean? And like for example, like shit, I don't know. Like let's just say your girlfriend was like, "Derek, I want you to get absolutely shredded." Like before you do that for her, you have to be willing to do that for yourself in your mind.
Right.
You have to be like, okay, you know what? I want that. That's great. That would be amazing. I'm going to do that for myself and my girlfriend. But I don't think that you could do that and work that and make that like a routine and everything and not want to do it at all and only do it for that other person. I'm sure some people have that crazy capacity. But at least in my experience, it's like I think
your choices should be your own.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I think your actions should be your own. Like,
and it's okay to do things for other people.
Yeah,
that's the whole point of love.
I just before I got here, I helped out our friend and former guest Autry with something.
Excited to have him back on. Yeah,
very small thing, but very important thing.
Yeah,
that saved a lot of time and money for him, basically. And he's like, "Oh, I'll pay you later. Like, you're a mad lad." And I'm like, "You're not gonna pay me later. I don't want your money." And am I mad? Sure, but like, I just want to help you out, man.
Wait, you're mad?
Mad lad. You ever heard that term?
Oh, I thought you were
like you're crazy.
You're mad. I was like, why are you angry?
Wow, I can't believe you did that.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Oh no, not angry, but like
you're showing him love, right? You're like, oh, here's what I did something for you because I care for you.
Yeah,
you know?
Very simple. Didn't take a lot of energy and felt pretty good afterwards.
Right.
And it was my decision.
Yes.
He never was like, "Oh, could I potentially borrow this?" Blah blah blah. And I'm like, "No, forget it." I was like, I just placed it, and I was like, he was having dinner with his family. I'm like, "Enjoy, man.
Yeah.
See you later." So, shout out to Autry.
It's kind of that, like that weird principle where you've always heard that age-old thing of like, I was about to do the dishes, and then my mom told me to do the dishes, and now I don't want to do them anymore. It's like we have this weird complex where sometimes like you want to do something for someone, but like you would have done it anyway, but then they ask you, and you're like, Now I just feel like I have to. It's like I was gonna anyway, but now you want me to, and now I'm like, eh. And I know depending on who's asking you, you don't have a bad reaction.
I think
You know?
micromanagement is a super, super, super slippery slope. Wow. I probably just lisped a million times. Yeah. But yeah, I think, and I've experienced this. My mom can be like kind of nosy and like pushy. Exactly
What are
like
gonna
you
do?
said,
That's moms.
like yeah, but like she'll ask me to do something, and I almost instinctually don't want to do it just because now you ask, and it's annoying. It's like I'll do it if you just don't
Yeah.
mention it. I don't want to
Right.
like,
Because now you
especially when
feel
it's,
like there's an obligation now instead of it being like
well, yeah.
what you wanted to do, you know.
Well, I think teaching the value in doing mundane things is important with kids, like chores, for example. It's like I don't really know how to translate to a kid, but like if you clean your room, you're going to feel so much better. You'll know where all your stuff is.
Yeah,
It's super
right.
organized.
Right.
I'm not asking you to do this. I'm just telling you that this is very beneficial for you,
Like,
and
yeah,
I
it would
think
benefit
you should
you.
do this.
Yes. Yeah.
I wouldn't say that to a 5-year-old. I'd be like, okay, we're going to do chores now. But like, yeah, I don't
Wow, we're
know
gonna
if
clean
my
your
like
room.
10, 11-year-old was like, I don't want to do chores, which is a very common thing they say.
Yeah.
I'd be like,
Yeah.
well, let me break it down for you as to why doing this chore is going to be beneficial for
Mhm.
you, because it takes a half an hour and saves you so much time and
Yeah.
stress,
Yeah.
and it'll just be better for your life. So
It all just circles back to this, like, just do stuff that betters your life. Stop focusing on the negative. Be positive. When you wake up in the morning, like, think of something that you can do that day to be productive. Even if it's you're gonna go on a run, or you're gonna draw for 10 minutes because you
Yeah.
haven't drawn in 3 months, you know, or whatever it is. Like, oh, I'm just gonna be nicer to people, you know.
I sort of relish the fact that, like, not that I'm a nobody, but like, you know, I'm just another person out here. I get comfortable with it because, like, okay, let me give you an example. Like, past few days, starting to get back in the gym, right? Like, starting to go, do
Yeah.
my cardio,
Yeah.
stretching, all that stuff. And I just love kind of just being like just another person there. Nobody
Yeah.
knows me. Nobody
Nope.
cares what I'm doing.
You're just another dude.
Nobody cares about what I did, what I
Mhm.
have done. Most people don't.
And if anyone's watching you, like, when they're gonna watch you for like 5 seconds, and they'll be
Go
like,
ahead.
okay,
Like,
and then they'll
and then
forget you even existed.
I don't care because I know you don't care. So it's like,
Right.
I'm just going to do this and, you know, forget everyone else. Like, do what I got to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a very powerful feeling. So, you know, I think to people who maybe feel like, oh, well, this has been my record, or this has been how people define me in the past, none of that matters. And more than likely, you're over dramatizing just how much people care.
Yes. Because people actually don't care as much as you think they do, but the people close to you probably care more about you than you will give them credit for.
Right.
So kind of goes both ways. But,
Right. But
yes.
that's good that you have select people who actually care, and a vast majority of the world don't even know who you are.
Yep.
It's kind of a nice thing. So, would I ever want to be famous?
No.
Maybe.
No.
Maybe.
My answer is no.
It's
But
I
then
think
again,
it's just
I mean,
something that you would have to accept,
yeah.
that like maybe you asked for it, maybe you didn't, but you're here anyway.
I'm okay
So-
with being famous to the point where, like, maybe someone, like, let's say 5 years from now, our podcast has, like, you know, like 1 million followers. It's like, that's cool. That's a cool way to be famous. But, like, I don't want to walk into a grocery store and have cameras on me all the time. Like, I can't walk anywhere without a paparazzi, or, like, people writing about me on Twitter, and
I would imagine it gets
like
old.
being in the news. I'm like, that sucks. Like, I would just get over it. But
I think
that sucks.
yeah, there's one picture that made its round through Twitter recently, and it's a picture. So Jennifer Lopez and Alex Rodriguez recently split up, and they have, like, I'm pretty sure they have a couple kids together, like, blah blah blah.
Yikes.
And they're just two super famous people. Like, one's one of the best baseball players of our generation. The other is, like, pop icon. So she's now dating. She went back to her ex, Ben Affleck.
Oh.
scandalous, right? There's this picture of her, and I'm pretty sure she's like leaving the house in like workout clothes and is like just kind of going about her day and like looking great, you know, like Jennifer Lopez looks great all the time.
Yeah.
And then same day, like around the same time, there's a picture of Ben Affleck, and he just looks like a normal dude, and he's smoking a cigarette, and he just looks so like.
Oh, I know what you're talking about now. Yeah, I've seen that picture.
He looks like such a casual, but it's Ben Affleck.
Yeah, and you're like, he's just a dude.
That's the kind of celebrity I would want to be.
Like he's like just a guy.
Like I don't care.
He exists. He just does his life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, appreciate the love. I'm gonna live my life. I don't care what anyone thinks.
Yeah.
Appreciate the love, because I think that's important. But don't ever feel the need to like have to be a certain way
for other people.
I think people get trapped when they get famous too, especially by record labels or you know, agents. It just you take on more responsibility for people other than you.
And yeah, you almost start to like identify with what those people around you want you to be.
And it's like, oh, well, I don't want to disappoint my fans. I don't want to disappoint my family. Like, I don't want to disappoint the world. It's okay to disappoint people. You told me that the other day.
Yeah.
I was like,
it's like, it's okay to make someone, like, it's okay to let someone down as long as you weren't an asshole and you learned from it. Like, whatever. I don't know. But yeah.
Like, if I were like uber famous and people were like, oh, we deserve as your fans, like, your content. It's like, well, I appreciate that you love my content and I love you for that, but
you don't deserve anything.
I don't owe you anything.
Right.
Or just like Daft Punk, like put out a few iconic albums, you know, did a lot of feature work over the years. A couple months ago, just said, we're done. We're hanging it up.
It's like, okay, you deserve that.
And everyone's like, no more Daft Punk music. I'm like, cool. Because now, yeah, no more new Daft Punk music, but like they're...
Look at all the bands that are still running after like 40 years. It's like, just stop making music. Like there was a time you should have stopped. Daft Punk did it right. Like they've done their music and then they've stopped, and it's just what should have happened. But anyway.
Green Day's new song makes me want to projectile vomit.
Okay, well, I could believe it.
Out of all of my orifices. It is awful. It is this punk. It's not even punk. It's straight pop. And same with The Offspring. Like, they used to have awesome songs. They suck now. Weezer sucks now. Go down the list. Like, I know you don't like Dark Necessities.
No, I thought that was a pretty decent album.
But it's just not their other stuff.
No, it's not. But it's good for what it is. You know, like I enjoy it. I just don't ever go out of my way to listen to it.
Yeah.
You know, I might pick a song or two or something, but
yeah. No,
anyway.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. There's a good time to hang it up, and I feel like a lot of people who are in positions to just kind of continue pumping out content just keep beating that dead horse. Mm-hmm. It's like, you got to move on. You gotta just live your life. Maybe they enjoy it. Like, maybe that's what they want to play, though, too.
Well.
Yeah, it's getting to be that time, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can wrap it up.
Yeah. But thank you all for being here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us on this little chat.
Yeah.
We kind of probably plan on doing this a lot more, just making it like 45 minutes to an hour. Yeah. Not occupy all your time.
Yeah.
Not kill us.
And we got those new formats we're working on, so there'll be some more interesting things, and always look forward to more guests. Just to shoot an update out there, James, I guess, is still going to be working in Harrisburg for the next couple months, so he might only be on like 1 or 2 episodes in between, like here in August.
I hope we find the opportunity to record with him.
Yes, 100%. Soon. Yes, I miss him.
Yeah, it's really sad. Is he living out that way?
No, he's still living at home, but he drives
Commutes.
an hour to work, which sucks.
Oof.
Yeah, but all the best to him, and we miss him.
Yeah.
And I hope the fans miss him, because, you know, he's an integral part of the show. You know, he's one of the 3.
Yeah, I was actually just thinking that, like, walking in, I'm like, dang, I really miss James.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a while.
It's a good trio.
Yeah.
Not a lot of trios work either, and we find a way to make it work.
Yeah, I think we do.
Okay.
Timeforanything.com. Check it out. Check it out. Timeforanything.com. That's our hub. So anyway, Any final words, Derek?
Let me think. Nope.